DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. People have been asking, I know some people are thinking, what I think about the Kyrie Irving situation. So I'm recording this video on Saturday, the Saturday before the NBA season tips off. Who knows, maybe something will have changed by the time you see this video, maybe not. But as of today, as of this recording, Kyrie Irving, he put out that Instagram live video where he wasn't really being super clear or direct exactly what he was saying there. He said a lot, but he kind of didn't say anything at the same time. But we all know the status is that he has chosen not to be vaccinated. Everybody knows about it. And because of this, because he plays in New York, he is not allowed to play. And then the Brooklyn Nets came out recently, last week, and they said they're not going to allow him to play or practice or do anything with the team until he gets vaccinated, even though they had the option of allowing him to practice, because their building where they practice, one of the buildings they practice in, is technically an office building, is not like a gym facility, so he could practice and he could play in half the games, all the games that are not in New York, or at least not the Brooklyn games, not New York games, and I guess not Golden State Warriors, that one time they played there, but every other game he could play. But the Nets have decided that he can't play at all until he can be a full member of the team. Now, several things about this. First, let's not bury the lead. I'll tell y'all up front. Kyrie Irving has every right to feel how he feels. He has every right to say, look, I don't want to get the vaccine. And what he did say in that video where he was talking was that this is bigger than basketball. He's not trying to make any type of political statement, and that he was trying to use his stature and the attention that he draws to draw attention to people who are not as known as him, don't make the kind of money that he makes, but they are losing their jobs and losing their livelihoods, and they don't have the kind of financial status as Kyrie, at least what we think Kyrie's financial status is, to where they can afford to not be at work. So he's trying to draw attention to those people by doing what he's doing. Now, I'm going to talk about that too. Let's talk about all these things. Let's go right down the line. First of all, the Brooklyn Nets decided that he can't participate at all until he's fully vaccinated, even though they could have just let him do half the work. Now, I understand on one level why it's like, all right, either you're all the way in with us or you're all the way out with us. But at the same time, why'd they do that? I feel like this is kind of like an authoritarian move by the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if the NBA pressured them into doing this. I don't know the thinking up behind the Brooklyn Nets management and ownership, if they just said, well, we want to try to force him into it, or they want to make some type of statement, I guess, towards Kyrie and the rest of the team. And they said that they did consult James Harden and Kevin Durant in this. We're going to get to them in a second. But why did they even have to do this? Why not just let them participate in half the games? Why not? Just let them practice, let them play in the road games. But he can't play in the home games, and he can't be a part of it. Why they even have to do that, I don't know. It feels like an authoritarian type of move where they're kind of like siding with you need to get the vaccine type thing, or we're not even going to let you do the thing that you could still be doing. We're going to take that away too. I don't know why they need to do that, but who knows? I don't know enough about that, and I haven't heard enough from the Brooklyn Nets ownership in the past that I can draw a comparison to anything else that they've done, because they've never really been in the news, at least as far as I'm concerned, or as far as what I pay attention to. But let's talk about the players. First of all, Kevin Durant and James Harden, they say, were consulted on this situation. But I want to talk not just Kevin Durant and James, but also the wider NBA and all of these players out here. Last summer, in the summer of 2020, seems like it was such a long time ago, but when the NBA was coming back from the bubble, we all know what was going on. COVID was going on. This was right after George Floyd had died, Breonna Taylor was dead, and it was the summer of social justice. We all know this was going on. And a whole lot of players, Kyrie was a prominent voice in this, but many other players, it was not just Kyrie, were saying, look, maybe we shouldn't play at all. Maybe we need to not play basketball, because playing ball will be a distraction from us, being out here and lending our voice and lending our platforms to drawing attention to whatever's going on socially and racially. I was clear back then. I said this back then. The NBA players, I said the best thing that they could be doing is actually playing basketball, because what exactly are y'all don't play basketball, what are you going to do? I understand that you're famous, so if you go to a pep rally or you go to some type of protest, that more cameras will show up and maybe more people will come, and maybe a few more people might listen marginally because an NBA player showed up. But at the same time, your expertise is not in activism. Your expertise is not in any type of political policy. Your expertise is in playing basketball, and you also make your money playing basketball. So you should go do the thing that makes you money. The thing that you're an expert at, because that's where you're really getting the most attention, because that's where you're actually good. Going to a protest, I mean, protesting is fine for those people who are into it. I'm personally not into protesting. But if you're into it, fine. It's peaceful protest is allowed under the Constitution. So go ahead and do it. But eventually, after maybe a week or two of doing that, those players will probably get bored with protesting, because, all right, well, you protested. We heard you. You said what you said. But what's the next thing after the protest? It's kind of like when Jay-Z took that gig with the NFL and organizing the Super Bowl halftime shows and whatever else Jay-Z is doing. One of the things that he said when they asked him about Kaepernick, he said, well, all right, he protested with the knee. Now it's time to move past kneeling, and now what do we do? What's the next thing that we do? And it's the same thing with the players. Eventually, they would have got tired of protesting after about a week or two, like, all right, damn, we should probably be at work, making millions of dollars playing basketball, which is what we're actually good at. So I'm glad that cooler heads prevailed and they actually went and played basketball. But Kyrie and many other players were saying, well, maybe we don't need to play. And they almost didn't play. And then when the Jacob Blake thing happened, they were about to quit again and not play at all. But eventually, again, cooler heads prevailed. They ended up finishing out the season. And I'm bringing that up to say this. The NBA players they wanted to protest or make noise about or draw attention to, whatever phrase you want to use, to racial injustice and the battle for equality and whatever you want to call what was going on in the summer of 2020. We all got different phrases, whatever you want to call that. They wanted to draw attention to it, and they wanted to use their platform to do so. Everyone can agree with that, right? Whatever it was, we all can agree to that. The thing is, if they had banded together, if all the NBA players had just said, look, we're not playing, it doesn't even have to be all of them. If it was just the most prominent NBA players, the LeBrons, the Kyries, the Kevin Durant's, the James Hardens, the Giannis's, all the all-stars, the superstar guys, the max contract guys, had all come together and said, listen, we are not playing another game of basketball until y'all do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they needed to have some clear objectives. It couldn't have just been, we're not playing because we want to draw attention to this thing and we want equality and we want racial equity or any other those other vague bullshit statements. Not that bullshit they were doing, the social justice shit they were doing last summer, because it was too vague. It wasn't clear exactly what they wanted. They just wanted attention. Okay, we're listening to you, we're giving you attention. What do you want? They didn't have a plan. That's why I thought it was a cheap idea, rather, for them to even think about not playing. So that's why I'm glad they ended up playing. But if they wanted to draw attention to that last summer, this is what they could have and should have did if they had any type of organization, which would have been, all right, here is our list of demands. We want y'all to do these, and it couldn't be like 27 things, because y'all know that's not going to happen. It needed to be like 3 to 5 bullet points, some clear things. We need to do these 3 things, these 5 things, and then we'll come back and play basketball. And they need to be something of substance. Now, who was going to come up with that amongst those NBA players? I don't know. Maybe we need an outside advisor, maybe somebody who's not so much on the woke side, but somebody who can talk about what we can practically do and something that will make a real impact. And if they could have came up with that in a day or two, I'm not even sure. So again, maybe it makes sense that that's why they didn't do it, because who knows, they could even have come up with something, because what is a bunch of people who play basketball full time going to come up with when it comes to governmental policy and things that are affecting black people as a whole, and not to mention the bigger picture of the Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Jacob Blake being in these situations with police, compared to juxtaposed with the fact that black people kill black people way more than cops do anything to black people. So it didn't even, first of all, it was misguided. Secondly, they were putting all their emphasis on these outliers compared to how much black people actually kill each other. It just wouldn't have made any sense. It would have got torn apart. People would have shot holes through the whole thing had they done this. But this is the way that they could have, directionally what I'm saying, the way they could have done this. I'm saying all of that to say this. This year, it's pretty clear what the 3 to 5 bullet points could have been. The NBA players could have clearly just said, look, LeBron, James Harden, all the superstars, Kevin Durant, all of them could have came together and said, listen, we understand that there is no NBA, there's no vaccine mandate for the players in the NBA. The NBA players do not have a vaccine mandate. All the management and the staff and anybody who works closely with the players, or whatever wording they use, everybody else has to be vaccinated. You work with the team, you travel with the team, you're around the team, you're a reporter, everybody has to be vaccinated. But the Players Association did not allow the vaccine mandate to be pushed through to the players. Only reason that the Nets, Knicks, and the Warriors is because the cities that they live in, they have vaccine mandates for certain facilities and things like that. The NBA players could have came together and said, listen, we ain't playing any games if the players in Oakland and New York, being the Knicks and the Nets, if those players can't play without being forced to be vaccinated, we ain't playing at all. And if that means we're going to sit out the whole season, then we'll sit out the whole season. If they had come together and did that, now we're going to get to whether that is feasible and whether even players agree with it in a second. But if they had done that, first of all, here, let me tell you why strategically this would be a better idea. The reason it would be a strategically better idea is because they had a clear outcome, a clear objective. All right, we want players in Oakland and New York to be able to play even if they're not vaccinated. And if y'all won't let that happen, then even though I'm in LA, I'm in Texas and Miami, I'm in Milwaukee, I'm in Minnesota, I'm not playing. We're all standing together on this clear thing, and there's one clear objective, and this is what we want. If y'all don't agree to that, we ain't playing. And whoever they need to talk to, whether it's the cities of New York and Oakland, whether it's the NBA needed to work something out, whether the NBA needed to move games to different cities, or like move the Nets to Tampa Bay, just like the Raptors played in Tampa that whole season, they could have did that. They could have forced the hand, or at least hoped to force the hand of the NBA to do that. Now, again, I'm not saying they necessarily needed to do this, but I'm saying if they wanted to come together on a cause, you need to have a clear outcome and everybody on the same page, and it needs to be clearly understood by everyone from the outside, like me and you, exactly what they want and exactly what needs to happen for them to say, okay, this is done or is not done. We're playing or we're not playing based on this clear black and white line. That's how you get things done, is you got to be clear on what exactly you want. The reason why I have been critical of the race hustlers and the woke people and the social justice folks is that all of their objectives, quote unquote objectives, are so vague. Like Joe Biden says, we need to slow the spread, or we need to stop coronavirus. You can't stop the fucking virus. You're not going to slow the spread. Everybody's going to get it. So it's so vague that they can just keep extending mandates and lockdowns, and you need to do this and you need to do that, and the science is changing because everything's so vague. The objectives are so unclear that they can always, what some people call, moving the goalposts. And of course, new information comes out, so that they really move the goalposts. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. The point is, when the objectives are unclear and when they're vague, you will never actually get to an endpoint. That's the problem. NBA players had the same problem last summer in 2020, which is why it's good they didn't follow through. But they could have had a clear objective this time because it was a clear enemy, which is y'all are forcing us to get the vaccine. Draymond Green said it in so many words. You're forcing players to get the vaccine now. He has it, but at the same time, he was opposed to the forcing of it, even though he got it. And every other player on the Warriors got it. Steph Curry has it. I'm assuming he's playing. Andrew Wiggins ended up getting it. Kevin Durant got it. James Harden got it. These guys could have just said, yo, we're not playing if y'all going to make Kyrie get it. We're not playing if y'all going to force us to get the vaccine. We're not playing. Or y'all going to have to move the team out of this city and we'll play the whole season somewhere else, but we ain't playing. And they could have did that. They could have did that, but they didn't do it. Instead, what happened is the players, they capitulated, and all these players, aside from Kyrie Irving, I guess, between the Nets, the Knicks, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Warriors, all got the vaccine. Now, again, I'm not saying that they're wrong for getting the vaccine. LeBron James said he said that he saw it as the best move for himself and his family. Fine. If that's how he feels, how he feels. You believe him, you don't believe him, whatever. That's what he said. We'll take him at his word. But he could have galvanized the other players and said, listen, if y'all are making people get the vaccine, like Draymond Green said, we're not playing until y'all either take us out of the cities that are forcing the vaccine or we just won't have any games. They had the power to do that. They had the power to do it, but they didn't fucking do it. And the NBA players, as much as these guys, when something social takes place, like in the summer of 2020, all of these players, they were all saying the same things. We want to leverage our platform. We want to use our voice. We want to draw attention to something that matters. It's clear to me, and I think, and LeBron was very non-committal on it when they asked him about it, because he spoke on it openly, saying, look, I got the vaccine, but I don't feel it's my place to, because somebody asked him, do you feel it's your place to tell other players or other people to get the vaccine? And LeBron said, no, it's not my place. I just made a decision for me and my family, but I'm not going to advise anybody else to get it or not get it. I'm not going to speak on it at all. Where at the same time, last summer, when the Ahmaud Arbery thing happened down in Georgia, LeBron was talking about we're getting killed every day, hunted every day, which is clearly hyperbole, but it wasn't helpful. But he felt compelled to say something like that, which was, it didn't make any sense logically on a lot of levels, but at the same time, he felt compelled to speak out about it. But when it comes to this, he don't know anything. He went and got the virus, and now he doesn't want to advise anybody anyway or not. But the guy seemingly has not had an issue speaking out on whatever topics before, even though he doesn't really have anything useful or much substance to add to the conversation, but he doesn't have a problem speaking on it. And everyone is entitled to their opinion. So the thing is, they could have came out with something that was clear this time and they just didn't do it. And I feel like they're kind of leaving Kyrie Irving out to dry out here. That's how I feel. I feel like they're leaving him out, hanging him out to dry. This guy's the vice president of the Players Association, so he clearly has some friends in the league. They voted for him. They have supported him to be the guy in the Players Association to speak on behalf of the players. And here he is in this situation, and Kevin Durant isn't really speaking up for him. James Harden ain't really speaking up for him. None of the other players on the Nets are speaking up for him. LeBron ain't saying nothing. Nobody else is speaking up on his behalf. Why not? Why don't they just speak up on his behalf and just say, look, it shouldn't be like this. He should be able to make the decision that he wants to make. And if he doesn't want to get vaccinated, he doesn't have to get vaccinated. And we're not going to play if y'all are going to force anybody to get the vaccine. But they didn't do that. They have kind of just left him out there like that. And it shows me, this is what it shows me, with that the NBA players talk a good game when it's a topic that's safe, when it's a topic that's accepted. Because if you look at last summer, everyone on the woke side or the left side or the progressive side or the liberal side or the Democrat side or the Biden side, all of those are the same side, right? And the opposite of whatever you want to call Trump and MAGA and all that, they were on the other side of it. All the NBA was on that side, and all of the social justice movement and the Black Lives Matter protests and all that stuff that happened in the summer of 2020, it was all aligned with the liberal talking points, right? And so the NBA was on the same page as them. This year, now you got a little bit different. Now you have the NBA is still on that side. They're still on this side of what the left side is saying, which is get the vaccine mandates. Everybody needs a vaccine. You don't get the vaccine, you're killing people. It's just smart to get the vaccine. Vaccine. And the NBA has gone along with that because they made everybody who they could, they forced them to get the vaccine. Everyone who they could force, they forced to get the vaccine. The players don't necessarily like the idea of being forced to get the vaccine. If you really listen, how many NBA players have you heard actually say in public, I don't like the idea of forcing people to get the vaccine, and actually said it and then actually said it out loud and let people know that? Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Isaac, Draymond Green, Kyrie Irving. Who else? Name one other player who has said it. Now, we don't know if all the players are vaccinated because there's only 3 teams where you have to be vaccinated. But the rest of the teams in the league, even if those players are not vaccinated, why aren't they saying, hey, I don't like the idea of forcing people to get vaccinated? For the most part, I think, and any of you can correct me on this, it appears that most players, we don't even know their vaccine status. A few players have spoken about it and said, I'm vaccinated, or some players have said, actually, I haven't even heard that many players say that they weren't. The ones that aren't, we know about them because they've been in the news, right? There's Andrew Wiggins, he went and got it. Jonathan Isaac does not have it, he said it. Kyrie Irving does not have it, we talking about him. Who else? Name another NBA player that has said, they have explicitly said, I am not vaccinated and I don't want to get vaccinated. Can you name one? I don't think there are too many. Maybe there are a few that I haven't heard about. If there are, y'all let me know. And the thing is this, why haven't they spoken out? Why aren't they saying anything? Because, and this is my theory, the reason that the players are not saying anything is because to speak up and say, I don't like the idea of forcing the vaccine, only one person I heard say it was Draymond Green and Kyrie and Jonathan Isaac, and then Andrew Wiggins. The reason why nobody else is saying anything, because to say so, you will kind of be putting yourself on the other side of that aisle. You're putting yourself on the other side of the line. And this has been a masterful job by the media and the government to kind of frame this whole thing when it comes to the vaccine as, are you either on this side or you're on the Trump side, or you're the MAGA side or the conservative side, or what do they call it? MAGA, Trump, whatever side you want to call that side. All right, you're going against the grain and you're on that side, and you don't want to be on that side, do you? And people are so afraid to say anything that aligns with that side that they just won't say anything at all. And this is where I find that the NBA players have been misguided from the beginning, because it was easy to be woke when it was easy to be outspoken, rather, when being outspoken meant being aligned with the woke. But now when it's time to be outspoken and you be going against the woke, now nobody know anything. Now nobody wants to say anything. Now everybody's quiet. Now everybody just wants to be a basketball player. When y'all was more than y'all was more than athletes last summer. Y'all were activists last summer. Y'all spoke up for what was right last summer. Y'all didn't allow things to be done against people that were underprivileged or marginalized or not being treated fairly last summer. Now, what group is being most affected by the COVID mandates? Black people. What group is least vaccinated? Black people. What group is going to be most affected if there are more mandates and people are losing their jobs and people can't go to work and people can't go to businesses and people can't live their normal lives? Black people. Now the NBA players don't know anything. Now y'all quiet. Now y'all not woke anymore. Now Because if you say something, you be going against the woke. And it was cool, again, it was cool to be a loudmouth when you were on the woke side. But now that you had to go against the woke side, now y'all quiet. Now y'all don't even want to step up for your own guy, who's the head of your Players Association. Y'all fucking voted for him. It ain't like he just randomly got there. Y'all voted for him to be the VP of the Players Association. And now y'all want to speak up for him? He's an all-star. He's a superstar in the league. Or we'll at least say a star. He's an all-star in the league. He's a max contract player. Y'all don't want to step up for him? Y'all want to speak up for that guy? Now, all of a sudden, everybody quiet? So, y'all tell me. Y'all tell me if I'm not seeing something that maybe one of you, the viewers, sees here. Tell me if I'm not hearing something that one of y'all has heard. Tell me if there's another NBA player that you have heard explicitly say either that they're not vaccinated or they said, I don't like the idea of forcing the vaccine. I haven't heard anybody say anything. Nobody's saying anything. Why is everybody quiet all of a sudden? That's what I want to know. Everybody ran to be an activist. Everybody was quick to be an activist last summer. Now everybody quiet. Y'all tell me. With all that said, I got a text line. Y'all want to get my daily motivation text? I send every morning. My number is 305-384-6894. I send it straight to your phone every day. And claim your free copy of my new book. Let me grab it real quick. It's right here. It's called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. I'll send you a free copy of this paperback. All you're going to do is cover the shipping on thethirdDayBook.com. Links down below. And my group coaching program is open. Work on Your Game University. That link is also down below. All the links are down below. Just assume that every time I say anything. Work on your game. Dre all day.